How's it going, everybody? Tommy here, along with my co-host Nick, and we're talking all kinds of things rock and metal. And I guess first thing off here is the Kiss final farewell tour. They're calling it the end of the road, and definitely my favorite band. I assume one of yours as well, Nick.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've always, Kiss is pretty much what got me into rock and metal, and they've always been my favorite band. Um, yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see if they do bring back any of the past members like Ace, especially Ace Frehley, Peter Criss. I know personally, I'd love to see Vinnie Vincent. I really doubt that's going to happen, but what do you think, Nick?
I don't know. If they have Peter back, they're not going to have him drumming. They would have him at least do Beth or Hard Luck Woman.
Yeah, I
Ace
don't see.
Frehley. Hmm?
Yeah, I was just pretty much agreeing. I don't see Peter doing any drum stuff, or I know a lot of people want to see, and myself included, would love to see a full-on, you know, original member reunion for the last tour. But I mean, just realistically, I don't think Peter could do it. I mean, obviously, I don't know what his, health, how his health is and how he's holding up as far as all that goes. I don't know. I mean, he could be in perfect shape and be able to do it for all I know, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be, what's going to happen there. But
Well,
like you said, probably come out to sing Beth, do something like that. That's probably about the extent of it. If Peter's even showing up at all, and if he does, is it going to be select shows here and there, or is he going to actually be at every single show? Because I don't see that happening either.
no, I don't see that.
But then you're really pissing off some fans. Like, I know I would be mad if, like, the night before, you know, Peter and Ace are there, and then the night after, when I go see them, Peter and Ace isn't there. I mean, that would kind of piss me off. It's like, why did they get to see Ace and Peter, but I didn't?
Exactly.
So I think that's really going to piss a lot of people off if they do it that way. But I don't know. It just kind of seems crazy to think that Peter and Ace, if they're going to be a part of it at all, would actually be there every night on the tour, traveling with them. It's really a crazy situation if that's what happens. I mean, I hope that's what happens, but I just don't see it happening like that.
In my opinion, I believe the only former member, that would tour with them would probably be Bruce Kulick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe there's any bad blood there at all. I don't think there ever has been. Bruce has pretty much always just been straight down the road with them and never had any kind of disagreements or anything like that with him. But uh, again, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Bruce Kulick fan. I love the stuff that he did with him. Um, Honestly, I wish, and it's nothing against Tommy Thayer. I think he's an awesome guitar player.
Yeah.
He's really good. But I mean, it would be cool to see Bruce Kulick back with him, full time or something. But
And
under
like a
the Ace
Revenge
makeup,
era kind of set.
yeah, doing the Revenge era, Kiss would be awesome. Of course, they're not going to do that for their last tour, though. I mean, they're going to go
No.
out with the makeup, with the whole show, and I mean that just makes sense. But yeah, and as far as Ace, I it would not surprise me at all to see Ace showing up at a lot of these shows and doing like Shock Me or 2000 Band. I mean, or getting up at the end of the night doing Rock and Roll All Night. Um, I mean, he can.
Maybe New York Groove.
Yeah, there's definitely a list of songs there that they can do with Ace, and he can still perform and do them just fine. But again, is this going to be just a few shows here and there, select shows? Because honestly, it's really going to piss some people off if they're not going to if they're only going to be at select shows. So I don't know I don't know what they're going to do there, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. When is the first show? I'm not sure if it's at the end of this year. It starts next year, right? I don't think it starts
It starts
next
in
month.
2019.
Okay,
Maybe
so
February would be where
okay.
it begins.
Okay. So also some news here. You were telling me Wednesday 13, which is another one of my favorite bands as far as or artists, whatever you want to say. As far as newer acts go, I guess even though Wednesday's been around since around 1996 or 97 with Frankenstein Drag Queens. I mean Wednesday 13, the Murdals, Frankenstein Drag Queens from Planet 13. I'm just a huge fan of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, to me, I put them up there with Kiss. I love it. But you were telling me that you heard that Wednesday's going to have a new album coming out. That was up on his Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, it was on his Instagram, and I'm sure it's on his Twitter. And he said that they're going to start recording it next Wednesday, I believe.
That'll be awesome. I can't wait. And if he's recording it starting next week, then obviously it'll probably be maybe sometime around the summer of next year, maybe even the winter. I guess it just depends. You never know when these bands or artists start recording a new album. There's always bumps in the road, delays that can happen, but hopefully next year we'll get a new Wednesday album. The last Wednesday album, the latest one that came out, Condolences. It was just an amazing album. One of Wednesday's best, in my opinion. Which Wednesday's never really done an album that I've not liked. I mean, which is really rare. I mean, there's just about any band that I like, there's always something there that I haven't liked or an album that I haven't liked, with the exception of a few. Kiss, I can't really think of a full album that I didn't like of Kiss. There's a couple songs here and there I'm not crazy about, but Wednesday, I really can't think of one album that I just absolutely did not like. And yeah, his newest album, Condolences, was awesome. The album before that was awesome. The Dixie Dead was awesome. I mean, he's consistently always putting out just great material.
And it's always not the same material. He always goes heavier with it.
Yeah, he definitely changes up his style with every album, which is cool. Selfishly, I would love for Wednesday to come out with a Frankenstein Drag Queens style album. I think that would just be awesome if he could, go back and do a full new album of just like that old school, horror punk Frankenstein Drag Queen style material that they used to do. I think that would be awesome. But that's just me selfishly like loving that, and that's what got me into Wednesday 13, all that stuff to begin with. So one thing that I noticed online the other day is apparently Rough Cutt is calling it quits, the 80s band. To be honest,
I saw that too.
Yeah, to be honest, I never really got really huge into them. I just remember as a kid seeing the video they did for Piece of My Heart, which is a cover song they did. And, it's always sad to see any of these 80s bands, kind of going away. But maybe it's for the best, instead of getting, 4 or 5 guys that were never in the band to begin with to continue the band name on, like a lot of bands do. Another thing you were telling me about is Axl Rose. Apparently, what happened? He had to cancel his show, or what happened there?
He didn't cancel it. he refused to. Like, he was severely ill. He had IVs in him and everything, and he would just refuse to cancel the show.
Oh, so he went on with the show even though he was ill.
Yeah, like I was reading like he was throwing up backstage before the show started, and he still went on with it.
Which, I mean, it's kind of surprising with Axl Rose. He's kind of notorious for either showing up late if he shows up at all. So, but I guess we haven't really heard of a lot of stuff like that going on this tour. Maybe he's put all that stuff behind him and starting to actually do things by the book now.
I think it's because of the money they're reeling in.
Oh, I'm sure that has something to do with it for sure.
But even though this tour is like the big tour, I think if they brought in Izzy and Steven, it would be even bigger, and he would bring in a lot more money than he is with this one.
Oh yeah, well, it's hard to say, man. Would it be more money? I mean, maybe not. There's a lot of people out there that just don't really care. They just want to see Axl, Slash, and honestly, some of them don't even care about Duff. Some don't even know who Duff is. A lot of people just want to see Slash and Axl back together. But I agree. I mean, personally, for me, I would much rather see, Steven Adler, Izzy. I'd rather see all those together. But I don't think it's going to happen. It's another one of those Kiss things where, like, maybe, here and there, one of them will show up and do a song or two, which I know they've already done before with Adler. And
they did with both of them on this tour.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's so what have you picked up anything this past week? Any purchases? Picked up any new CDs, albums?
I have not.
Haven't picked up anything. Okay, well, let's see. This past week, what did I get? Let's see, I picked up the new Pretty Boy Floyd album, Public Enemies. And I haven't got a chance to actually listen to it yet. But I did go, and I had no idea they even did a video for this album, but I was on YouTube just browsing around, and gosh, I can't remember what the video was for. I think it was it Feel the Heat, maybe?
Yeah, it was Feel the Heat. It was on Frontiers, I believe.
Yeah, it's on the Frontier record label. And man, it was just, I love the imagery, it's definitely all, very almost Shout at the Devil era, kind of imagery, which I thought was awesome. The drummer dude, I mean, he looked like he was totally going for that Tommy Lee style Shout at the Devil, image there. And I just thought it was awesome. I thought it was an awesome video, awesome song. Hopefully the whole album kicks ass like that.
I loved it when I listened to it. It was amazing.
Yeah, Pretty Boy Floyd is one of those bands that, again, I can't really think of an album that I've listened to of Pretty Boy Floyd that I didn't like. I mean, even the really obscure stuff that came out in like the mid and late 90s, like Tale of Designer Drugs and all that, like that was an awesome album. Yeah, and I think Steve Summers is just an awesome singer. He's done a lot of Kiss covers and Motley Crue covers, and
really obscure Motley Crue covers too, not just your ordinary hits.
Yeah, but even, I mean, just everything that I've heard him do is just, he fucking nails it. He's an awesome singer. But yeah, I remember the first time that I ever even saw a Pretty Boy Floyd album or anything. I never heard of them before. I was at a used record shop, and I was just browsing through, and I saw the cover of their first album, Leather Boys with Electric Toys, and I mean, it's just it's almost like Kiss Destroyer, except because it's like this painting style, but it's got like all four members, but they're all like glammed out and just totally 80s glam hair metal style. And I was like, man, I don't know what this is, but I have to pick it up because I was already big into, Kiss and Motley Crue and Aerosmith and all that kind of stuff. So picked it up, and I'm glad I did because I've been a huge Pretty Boy Floyd fan ever since. And it's just really cool because like they're still going. They weren't a huge band. Obviously, they made it because they did have videos on MTV for "I Want to Be with You" in 48 Hours, I think it was. But anyway, so they had videos on MTV, and definitely sold a number of albums, but they were never like as big as like a Poison or Skid Row or anything like that. But yet they've lasted through all these decades, and they're still around. I think it's just really awesome. So I can't wait to actually listen to that album. Also picked up the newest Uncle Acid album. It's again, Uncle Acid is one of my favorite newer bands. It's really hard to describe what they are. I guess you would say almost like a throwback to like 70s, very Sabbath style, but the vocals are really what stands out. I mean, it's just the vocal style of Uncle Acid is just totally unique.
It's very psychedelic.
It is. It's psychedelic and kind of in horror themed. A lot of their albums and songs are horror themed, which I really appreciate. So listening to that, I recommend that as well. You've been listening
Another one
to.
you told me about.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Cauldron.
Oh yes, yeah. So if I had to pick between these two bands, I don't know that I could, but Cauldron might etch out just a little bit, maybe. But there's if you haven't already heard of them, go check out a band called Cauldron. I believe they're out of Canada, but I could totally be wrong on that, so I probably shouldn't have even said it. But anyway, go and check them out. Man, I guess the best way to describe them is if you like early 80s traditional metal, but it's like a early mix of early 80s traditional metal, but kind of updated in a way, but not updated in a sense of like overproduced, extremely slick production, nothing like that. I mean, this you can listen to this and it sounds like you could have been listening to this back in like 1982 or 83. Yeah, I mean, just I love this band. So far, I've picked up all their albums, and I have not heard one so far that I haven't liked. I can't even think of one song that I've heard of by Cauldron yet that I didn't just absolutely love. And they have videos on YouTube. You can check them out as well. But yeah, the new album is called New Gods. And me and Nick are going to be doing our top 10 new albums of 2018. And this might be a spoiler, but I really don't think anything has been able to top that album for 2018 so far. So what have you been listening to this past week, Nick?
I've been listening to a lot of Greta. Like I've told you, I sent you, like I've been going crazy over that new album that they put out. It is the first song on that album blew me away, and it took me on a roller coaster.
Go ahead.
It's probably the best way to put it.
Maybe I should just go ahead and bite the bullet and go ahead and buy their album. I mean, you can find it at Walmart for like $9. So I mean, what am I going to be out? And it's not that I haven't heard them. I have listened to a couple of their songs they have on YouTube, their videos. And I guess the only thing that kind of throws me off with Greta Van Fleet is just that
The kid.
I hear them and it sounds like Led Zeppelin. And then when I see the video and stuff, and it's just like these like young kids, nothing against them or anything. It's just like, what in the world, man? Like it just kind of threw me through a loop in my mind. And not that, like, again, I didn't dislike it. I love Led Zeppelin. I guess I don't know. There just wasn't anything there at first that really kind of blew me away by him or made me like, okay, I'm going to have to listen to more of this. You know what? I will go ahead and I'll just pick up the album and give it a shot. And who knows? I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've listened to bands that I didn't really care for at first and then, wound up loving. So I'll definitely check some of that stuff out. Pick up their album. Like I said, $8 or $9, you can find it at Walmart, so might as well just pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Listen to it. Because I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it at all. Let's see. Besides those albums I already mentioned that I picked up, I went back and listened to, here's another newer band called Horizon. And last year, this was one of my favorite albums of last year. It was called About Time, and I have a video for that online as well on YouTube. A video for the song Electrical. Again, another throwback. Kind of. What's that?
Stoner rock.
Kind of stoner rock, a little bit. Man, we're just like 70s, like mid to late 70s kind of garage rock. Man, and it's crazy because like there's a lot of bands right now that are kind of doing that stuff, like going back doing the 70s and 80s, kind of throwback stuff, and I love it, man. And I think the coolest thing about it is that these bands, when they go and do this, and there's a big difference. There's some bands that are kind of going back and doing that stuff, but they're using, overproduction. Everything sounds too slick and too clean. And to me, it's like that totally defeats the purpose. But these bands that I mentioned today, like there's some rawness, there's some edginess to the production. It's not overdone. You can tell that the drums aren't computerized. There's actual instruments being used here, which I can't stand listening to music that has just been, digitized to death. But that's another album. That's another album definitely people should check out. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. This is episode 1. We will have one of these every week. So far, the plan is to drop these every Monday. So hopefully we can keep that. If the day changes, of course, we'll let you know. But thanks everybody for listening, and y'all have a good night.
Good night.